ABC Sports presents live in its 27th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour. This afternoon from Galaxy Lanes in Venice, Florida, welcome to the Bowlers Journal, Florida Open. Let's meet the 5 finalists. In 5th place, making his first championship round appearance, Todd Thompson. In our first match, he'll face the 1987 PBA Player of the Year, Marshall Holman. In 3rd place, Amleto Monticelli, looking for his 2nd title in 1988. Qualifying 2nd, from Lake Worth, Florida, Joe Firpo. And our tournament leader, looking for his first PBA title and a spot in the Tournament of Champions, Akron, Ohio native Ron Bell. That's our field for today's Florida Open. And just outside this beautiful bowling establishment, true, those are swaying palm trees. But let me tell you, the temperature out there is 48 degrees, but that scene certainly beats snow, doesn't it? But this is our area of competition. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, our 6th stop on a tour of 16 cities across the country. We've had 5 shows, 5 different winners. Well, that makes it exciting to watch our 5 finalists today, especially when you have Marshall Holman in the field. The great golfer, great bowler, well, he'll give you a show because that is his nature. That is his temperament. There are 4 others that don't want him to go all the way, including Ron Bell from Akron, Ohio, our tournament leader. So we have excitement. And the same is true for ABC's Wide World of Sports, which immediately follows. And today, a rematch for the IBF World Lightweight Championship between the current champion, Vinny Pazienza of Providence, going against Greg Hogan, from whom he won the title. That'll be a battle. So will Women's World Cup Skiing from Europe. And we'll also be naming our Athlete of the Week. But right now, let's get to our live telecast right here. World's greatest bowlers going for the $23,000 first prize. My colleague Nelson Burton Jr. has been here all week. He knows the conditions of our championship pair, and Bo, they love you here.
Well, it's a great town, Chris, and have been here all week. And although there's been a diametrical change in the weather from the mid-80s down to the 40s, there hasn't been much of a change on the lanes. The players have been bombing this place all week long. In fact, the championship round pair, the 5 players average better than 230. Now, our field is made up very similar to the ones we saw last week in New Orleans. 2 experienced veterans sprinkled among newcomers. We have Marshall Holman in 5th and Amleto Monticelli in 3rd. One thing has changed is the angle of attack to the pocket. Last week we saw the big sweeping curve into the pocket from an outside line, mixing the pins very well. This week it's a little bit different. The players are playing what we call a set shot, almost down the middle of the lane, setting the ball in the pocket, and hopefully we'll shoot some big scores. The guy to beat, though, is the guy in the number 1 position. Ron Bell averaged the highest anybody has averaged for a 6-game block on the Pro Tour earlier this week, and he's ready to win, Chris. Now in the first match, here comes the pugnacious Marshall Holman against newcomer Todd Thompson.
All right. Todd Thompson, 23 years old, Reno, Nevada. Now, he was born, he takes his seat. He was born in Lawrence, Kansas. And the 33-year-old from Bedford, Oregon, 20 titles. He is just about Mr. Everything, along with Mark Roth and Earl Anthony. Marshall Holman, shooting first on the left lane. You must remember that Marshall has not won since the 1986 Tournament of Champions, but he has other credentials, big credentials that got him the Player of the Year award. Todd Thompson, a non-winner, a little more than a year, a member of the PBA, a likable young 23-year-old. First shot. By Mr. Holman as he evens it up after 1 frame, Bo.
Chris, this young man, just a beautiful textbook style. We see more and more of that on the tour. 4-step delivery, push away with the first step on the left foot, down low at the foul line. Now watch the foot at the foul line. He slides, he slides, he slides. Is that a foul? Not quite. What the foot has to do is at least intersect the black line and touch over it. His tip of his toe was just slightly above the foul line that time. We have something to watch for the rest of the day.
Certainly one of the shorter approaches to the line. Left lane. Good action. Good, powerful ball. For the young man, he may not have won, but he has 8 cashes in the last 11 tournaments.
Trip 4, the action, the 2-pin. The 3rd pin on the left-hand part of your screen. It goes the sideboard twist between the 4 and 7 pins. Boom, he's off to a quick double. This is the type of scoring we expected. Nothing different so far. Everybody strikes.
And we're still even after 2 frames. What a contrast in styles. Marshall Holman, whom you're looking now, uses all of the approach. In fact, his right heel hangs over the farthest edge. His concentration is tremendous.
Holman tapping a little rosin on the urethane bowling ball, required to wipe it off. Nothing can be put on the ball surface. It can be left on the lane or alter the natural rolling ability of the surface of the ball. Both players perfect so far.
And Marshall continues in a top-notch way. 20 championships, and today our winner will receive $23,000, 12 for second, 8, 6, and 5. Now the winner of this first game will meet Amleto Monicelli, one of the 5 winners on the tour this year. Amleto winning in Las Vegas. This man at whom you're looking, his best finish was 9th at the Showboat Invitational. Double up, 3rd frame. 3, 4, 3.
Quick look at his footwork. I'll tell you, watch this. You be the judge. I think this is a foul. Watch this. The foot slides. It slides. It slides. That's over the foul line, Chris. And the foul light should go off at that time, but for some reason, I can't see from this angle whether they're turned on or not, but that clearly, he bisected the foul line. It's up to the PBA officials to make that call. It's their alternative. Right now, I think they're making some sort of decision right now.
I think so.
And also, Todd is waiting for a re-rack on the left-hand lane. Each player is allowed 3 re-racks in the championship match play format.
And let's see with that rather long delay whether it affects his concentration. He has 3 in a row, shooting in the 4th frame. This is our first match, live from Venice, Florida, south of Sarasota. Unperturbed, this 23-year-old. Okay, more action of the first game following this.
With every Budweiser enjoyed, the promise endures. The promise of genuine quality. Quality you can taste. Clean, crisp, Beechwood aged Budweiser. Always certain, always satisfying. Because we know you wouldn't have it any other way. That's why this Bud's for you.
Thanks again, boys, and keep the change. You hear all this nonsense about Kellogg's Frosted Flakes being just for kids. Well, I, for one, eat them, and I'm going to go right on eating them. Frosted Flakes just for kids? Come on. Like we adults have to go sneaking around. Like we can't love these crisp, sweet flakes just as much as kids. Who is it?
You just have to admit it. Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
You give your all to all you do. Don't settle for less from your shampoo. Wash and go Pert Plus.
Ordinary shampoo can't give you this kind of manageability. You need Pert Plus, with a unique combination of effective shampoo for cleaning, plus conditioner for control, all in one. For great, easy-to-manage hair, it's one of a kind.
Just one shampoo does it all for you. Wash and go.
With shampoo, conditioner in one.
Pert Plus.
You're looking at Todd H. Thompson. His opponent today, there we go back to the foul line.
3rd frame, Chris. Clearly over the foul line. The foul lights were not working. They checked them during the commercial. It's actually a 30-pin difference in the score. They credited him with a strike in the 3rd frame. They now have a live foul judge sitting right behind the foul line.
And Marshall continues striking 4 in a row. The foul line judge, a veteran PBA member, Kurt Schmidt, a professional bowler from Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's colder there, Bo, than it is in Venice, Florida. They think it's chilly here at 48.
Yeah, but Purdue will warm them up at Michigan tomorrow, Chris.
You think so?
Yeah, that's on the Wide World tomorrow. I think Purdue's got some problems, though. Michigan is tough at Ann Arbor.
They have a lot of talent, a lot of depth on the bench. But it's one of those Big Ten battles for the Big Ten lead. That's on ABC tomorrow. Today, it's Marshall Holman. And Marshall Holman, 5 in a row, and he's... oh, his emotions.
Holman thinks this ball is going to drift high, and he can't believe it. That's what makes a championship pair work so well for a particular player's role. Why Holman has bowled so well in this particular bowling center is in the championship round, lanes 31 and 32 here at Raffy Carry-On's Galaxy Lanes. He always has had a good ball reaction. This is where he broke his streak of 15 losses and 1 victory in the championship round just 3 years ago.
We've had a total now of 10 strikes on our championship pair. Wow, what a start. What are your thoughts, we asked this young man, in facing Marshall Holman today? Of course, Marshall being the 20-time winner.
Well, bowling against Marshall, I've always enjoyed it. He's, you know, he's great to beat. That's one thing I think everybody gets a charge of out here on tour. But I would love to bowl against Marshall the first match, and I've always bowled well, and we'll see what happens.
6 frame. And the 9-pin has ended Todd Thompson's string at 5.
Chris, here's a shot we don't see very often. Watch the action of the 9-pin right here. The ball drives through the 1-3 and just cuts the 9-pin, 5-pin straight off the 9. A hit we have never seen before until the urethane bowling balls came in. See, very little deflection. 3-pound, 7 and 8-ounce pins, and yet no effect on the bowling ball. What a bad break for Todd Thompson.
In our tournament this week, Bowler's Journal Florida Open 160 started. Hugh Miller finished 6th, Wayne Webb 7th, and Bob Benoit, who had that 300 game at the Quaker State Open, finished 14th. So he's showing some consistency.
Well, Benoit looks real good as we have a slight delay here on the left-hand lane. The number 2 pin fell out of the rack. It was toddling a little bit before we went on to the championship round about 15 minutes ago, and it's been a delay for Holman. Right now, Holman coming up in the 6th frame is perfect through 5, has a chance to take an 11-pin lead over Todd Thompson.
A man who won from the number 2 seed in 83 and the number 1 seed in 85 right here. And now he has reached the halfway point, halfway to the True Value Hardware 300 perfect game bonus of $100,000. Marshall Holman.
Tremendous scoring the 1988 season. I think it's just a tribute to the great players that we have out here. More and more the players are coming out, such as Todd Thompson, and pushing players like Holman to be even greater than they ever have been. And the residue is just a higher scoring environment. Holman just pulling in that thumb hole to get the moisture out. Has 6 in a row.
And then reality set in, leaving the 258 on the left lane, but nevertheless we're off to a big start.
Holman's ball just slides a little bit wide. The left-hand lane, as all 5 players told me, is just a little bit tighter, which means for them about 1 to 2 boards to the right with their feet. Holman sent that ball wide, didn't quite get the break, and has left himself a pretty tough spare here. The 2, 5, and 8, Chris, as you said, Chris. Needs this to maintain his lead.
Look how carefully he sets himself. Okay, just like that, he says. More of this first game after this.
Here's why these New England fishermen take Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
I get aches and pains, runny nose, nasally, and Alka-Seltzer Plus works every time.
When I get a cold, my head feels like it's 3 feet thick. Alka-Seltzer Plus helps break through, helps me get back on my feet.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds.
In a word, it works.
Try new Alka-Seltzer Plus nighttime cold medicine to relieve your cold at night.
There's a level of performance that separates the good from the great. That's why Carmen Salvino designed the Ebonite Thunderbolt. The exclusive power core increases gyroscopic action for a sharper hook on heavy oil. And the Thunderbolt rolls farther before hooking, so it hits harder for less deflection and more striking power. The difference between good and great is the power of the Thunderbolt.
You may not have thought of buying a Sears Die-Hard battery until you've had a little time alone to think about it.
Vinny Pacienza defends his IBF lightweight crown against former champ Greg Haugen live, plus Women's World Cup skiing on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
This man makes our field international today. Amleto Monticelli of Venezuela. He won in Las Vegas this year 2 championships. He will meet the winner of the Thompson-Holman first game, which is nearing its conclusion now, with Holman leading by 8 pins. Thompson to shoot in the 7th frame with a spare working. If you just joined us, he strung 5, then marked with a spare, leaving a 9 pin, and Holman 6 in a row. And Holman has a spare in the 7th. Right now, Todd Thompson. Capacity crowd, standing room only, watching this young professional.
The footwork of Todd Thompson, just a little shuttle step, 4-step delivery. Now watch, let's see how his foot comes to the foul line. Here it is. Slide, slide, slide. He took heed of that warning. He got a good break there in the 3rd frame when we obviously saw him slide over the foul line that wasn't working, but he has rectified that situation and is giving himself plenty of room now as he trails Marshall Holman by 8, but can take the lead with another strike here in the 8th frame.
Leading by 2. Fans starting to get behind this non-winner and going into his 2nd year as a member of the PBA, while his opponent, Marshall Holman, a 14-year PBA member, 20 titles. Marshall shooting on the right lane. Marshall had a 298 in his last game last night to get to the number 4 position, Bo.
Yes, it was, Chris. He had 11 strikes in a row, leaving the 4 and 7 pins on his final ball to knock Wayne Webb out of the top 24. Hugh Miller finished 6th, and as you said, not top 24, top 5. Hugh Miller finished 6th. Wayne Webb dropping to 7th place. Now here Holman up in 9th frame, trails by 2, can retake the lead if he can strike.
Love that one. Man that wears his emotions and reacts.
Marshall Holman grimaced as he slid into the release position, snapped his wrist on that ball, and the 6-pin did the job on the 10. Tremendous power and discipline of Holman. He likes it. Has once again put the pressure on Todd Thompson. What an opening match.
9th frame. And the awful result of a high hit. But a round of applause for Thompson, leaving the 4, 6, 7, 10.
As the ball cuts right through the heart of the pins, Todd Thompson quickly up with another ball. Is just going to shoot for the 4 and 7 pins and try to rectify something. Not to be.
Oh, he's one of our younger professionals to make the finals.
Here's the action of Todd Thompson's ball. He pulls it about 3 boards left of his mark at the arrows, goes right through the middle. 4, 6, 7, 10 split. Disaster. The best he can shoot is 239. Holman already going at a 250 pace. Thompson, to have any chance to win, would have to strike here in the 10th, 11th, and 12th frames.
Sliding by and leaving the 2-pin.
Well, great try by Todd Thompson. He lifts that solid 9-pin in the 6th frame. A big change. And, of course, the 9th frame being his undoing, you'll have a very creditable 229 game. It's not going to be enough. And we're going to have one of the great matches of the year. Is going to be Holman against Monticelli in our second match as we see some big scoring.
And then looking beyond that match, it will be Joe Firpo to be followed by the tournament leader, Ron Bell of Akron, Ohio. Thompson now finishing this first game. And again leaves a 2-pin. Had 7 strikes in that game, shooting a 228 against Marshall Holman.
Holman a possible 277.
And Marshall left the 4, 6, 10. So this is the winner nonetheless. Marshall Holman. He'll meet Amleto Monticelli next game. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 United States Olympic team. This Bud's for you. By Kellogg's Corn Flakes. What more could you want from a cereal? And by Pert Plus, shampoo and complete conditioner in one. So you just wash and go. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our local station.
Hey, I have to get ready for the party too, you know.
I don't know if I'm going.
Is something wrong?
Kind of sick.
Oh, diarrhea?
Mm-hmm.
I know what you need. It's in the medicine cabinet.
Pepto.
Here it comes. The soothing relief of Pepto-Bismol. The one that coats is the only one you need.
Feeling better?
Let's party.
New Tegrin medicated shampoo with conditioners is tough on dandruff.
I like new Tegrin with conditioners because it leaves my hair looking great.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
New Tegrin with conditioners proves tough can be beautiful.
Is the place.
Secure your home with either the Quick Set Deadbolt or Entry Lock for $5.99 and a twin pack of Ace automatic night lights for just $2.49.
When I hear honey do this and honey do that, hey, let me tell you, Ace is a place for me.
Get your grass skirts ready because we're in Hawaii with lots of special people to explore the beautiful sights and sounds of the islands. So please join us on Saturday.
Bowling, billiards. For your individual or family sports entertainment, try bowling or billiards. And the place to get your equipment is at Bowlers and Billiards Warehouse, where you'll find Hawaii's largest inventory of bowling and billiard supplies. Our billiards division offers Hawaii's largest showroom of billiard tables, with sales and service by factory-trained professionals. So drop by and meet our billiard professionals, Cash Mitsuda and Neil Nizoi. That's Bowlers and Billiards Warehouse, Hawaii's largest inventory of bowling and billiard supplies.
This is the dealership, South Seas Jeep Eagle. I work here. My partner's Bill Ding. 10:15. Bill shows me the evidence.
A lot of great cars at South Seas Jeep Eagle.
We got warrants.
Even better.
How's that?
We got warranties.
Let's go. 10:16. We're on the lot.
Look at them all, Joe.
Right. Wranglers, Cherokees, Comanches, Medallions, used cars.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Value, selection, parts, and service.
Bill?
Joe?
That's 4 things.
The story you've heard from South Seas Jeep Eagle is true. Only the oil was changed to protect the engine.
We're for Hawaii.
Okay, our first match has ended. The final score is in. Marshall Holman, the great champion, 242. Todd Thompson's 228. Holman with 8 strikes. Now, he goes against a one-time winner this year, 2 overall, Amleto Monticelli of Venezuela. 2 tremendously conditioned athletes going head-to-head here for another step toward the championship and $23,000. Amleto, 26 years old, 5'8", 150 pounds. Pleasure to watch and to know.
An early tour showdown. I think both these players are going to throw their hat in the ring for Player of the Year. Still the early part of the tour, just the 6th championship round, but this could tell a big part in who's going to be top dog this year.
Right one for Monticelli. Marshall Holman, who opened up with 6 in a row. Careful preparation. You'd advise all bowlers to do that, right, Nelson?
That is very true, Chris. He's the same on a golf course as he had a nice round of 74 this week, he tells me. He didn't even putt well, so you know he's spending some time outside the bowling center.
Well, bowlers with great hand-eye coordination do excel in other sports.
As you always said, Chris, you can't win the Kentucky Derby with a donkey, and here's a real thoroughbred. If you just want to emulate a style, there it is. Marshall Holman, everything in the proper position, smooth wrist action, confident arm swing. He's got it all.
And last year he won $152,000 and Player of the Year honors from PBA members.
Both the members and the bowling writers. Quite a tribute to a man well deserved. Second frame.
So he has left a 7-pin on the left lane. Give you an idea, he was the tour average leader, 216. He was 4th twice. He was 3rd twice. He had top 5 finishes all over the place. 4th leading money winner. Just amazing year.
One of the amazing things about Marshall, though, is his championship round victories are not there like they should be. It's been 8 championship rounds since he last had a victory, and look at this, Chris, sticking at the foul line.
Okay, and speaking of rounds, Bo, a scheduled 15-round IBF World Lightweight Championship bout as we see Marshall Holman sticking, and of course, the champion Vinny Pazienzo doesn't want to stick against Greg Haugen. He'd like to stick a lot of punches all over Haugen. That's the match on Wide World Today, live from Atlantic City, plus Women's World Cup Skiing and Athlete of the Week. And Leto's shot just sort of slid by the pocket.
Monticelli, just a little bit compensation for the right-hand lane, which is hooking a couple of boards more, as you see him in his profile. That real high arm swing, open hand, just like Mark Roth, and the tremendous wrist action. As we once called it, Chris, looks like he's trying to start your lawnmower for you. And boy, he gets those pins started when that ball gets down there.
What a pity.
We've seen Manletto before. The one big trouble he has had in championship round matches is the inability to convert simple spares, and it's not mental. I think that he just doesn't take his time. He takes for granted that he can throw a lot of strikes, and you give an opening like that to Marshall Holman, you're asking for big trouble and a short day out there on the lanes.
Let's see how he recovers now. Positioned on the left lane. This is our second match, 3rd frame. All right.
Monticelli saws up the pins. That's the way to come back after an open frame. You see, unperturbed by it, so hopefully it won't bother him and affect the outcome of this championship match. Once again, Holman, tough opponent, taking his time. Talk about that stickiness he had in the second frame. It could have been a little psych shot for Monticelli. Holman knows all the tricks. Make a person worry about something, you have a little edge on him.
In other words, there are ways and methods among bowlers to psych the opponent, Nelson?
Well, at this level, Chris, top players, as we take a look at the lanes here, here's how the lanes are oiled this week. The lanes are oiled to about 25 feet, both lanes, and then they are buffed down to about the 45-foot mark right across there. So it's real heavy oil here and a little bit lighter here. So that's what you look forward to on a professional bowler's tour. Most bowling centers, Chris, are just oiled 24 feet and are completely dry the last 36 feet of the lane, so you get a little more break in the house conditions.
Okay, mixing action on that left lane and a 22-pin lead by Marshall Holman. We'll be back.
Kathy Durham looks cool under pressure. But just because her blouse is dry doesn't mean she smells good. Because underarm odor is invisible, she needs Sure Roll-On. Sure helps protect against wetness and kills bacteria that cause odor. So, Kathy, why go to school with a dry blouse and a false sense of security? Tomorrow, use Sure Roll-On and be just as sure about odor as you are about wetness.
Thanks. Tums is one antacid that can really handle heartburn. It's a lot stronger than the #2 brand.
That's one good reason we use Tums. And Tums happens to be rich in calcium.
That's the second good reason.
Scott once had a heart attack. Today, he had a son. Studies show aspirin helps reduce the risk of heart attacks. Ask your doctor about a regimen of exercise, the right foods, and Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Before the Winter Olympics begin, there's time to spare for the $150,000 Miami Classic. It's a special early edition of ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour next Saturday.
And, Chris, this is how the lanes are checked by the PBA lane maintenance personnel. That's an analyzer which detects the amount of surface friction in different parts of the lane. They go from the center of the lane all the way over the left side, all the way over the right side, check it at the foul line, all the way down to the 45-foot mark. And if you don't see it slide very much, that means there's more surface friction. It's just another way of maintaining the lanes to see that they're the same day after day.
Big shot from Monticelli, giving him a double. Third and fourth frames. Technically, it's amazing, the developments. This is the way Monticelli moved through the field to wind up in the #3 position.
Steady through the qualifier, 18 games. You see each 6-game block there in those first 3 lines, and the 24-game match play finals went to 5th the first evening, and then on Friday made the big move, stayed in 2nd, finally qualified 3rd. Right now he's in that #3 position, trying to hold it against the great Marshall Holman. Monticelli trails by 12, 5th frame.
Winner of the Japan Cup last September. Prior to that, he had 7 second-place finishes. But does not give up. He won at the Showboat earlier this year. Three-bagger. And that tightens things up. Only 2 pins now. Marshall Holman in the lead.
Monticelli, one of the few players in the PBA to throw more power on the ball than this man, Marshall Holman. And in that particular frame, Monticelli just sawed the right side of the lane out, sawing that 6 off the 10, putting a little pressure back on Holman, who leads by 2.
Marshall with a horrible strike, 3rd in a row. We asked him earlier if he felt like he's bowling with more confidence since being named Player of the Year.
Well, I think I'm bowling well, and it certainly was very gratifying and a little bit of a surprise getting the nod both from the players and the bowling writers. I thank all of you. It certainly makes me feel good, and I have a lot of potential for 1988. I haven't really done as well as I'd like to early in the year. I usually get off to a fast start, but making the top 5 here, I feel I can carry that momentum, and I look for a very good 88.
Okay. And with shots like that, he'll have a great year. 4 in a row now. Leading by 22 over Monticelli, who is up.
No doubt about it, Chris. He is really leaning on every shot. In the 5th frame, he just sawed those pins out of there. In the 6th frame, you saw him grimace a little bit as he snapped that wrist through the ball. Keeping the pressure on Monticelli. As you see this young man with 2 different colored shoes, one red, one white. Just a little superstition. He had to change those shoes one time to accommodate some slippery approaches. He said it worked so well, and he won. He's going to stick with it.
Cutting the lead by Holman with 12 pins.
Watch the action, the 6th pin, the 2nd pin on the right-hand part of your screen. This is power. See that 6th pin? Boom! up out of the channel into the 10-pin. That's why you snap that wrist through the ball. That's why you turn that ball over. And here's the footwork. You can see that left heel that holds him back on the approach to keep him from sliding too much. Plant, rip the holes out of the ball. See you later, pins. He only trails by 12. 4 strikes in a row, 7th frame.
All this happening live at the Galaxy Lanes in Venice, Florida. West Coast on a stormy day. 7th frame, 4 in a row. And with a high hit, the 6-9-10. Stand on the left side.
Not even close. Monticelli out of time, just snapping as much power as he can on the bowling ball. And when you go for that much power, you give up some accuracy. He knows it. He missed by at least a board, and if that board was a 2x4, he'd have barely nicked the corner of it. He missed by 5 inches out there at the foul line.
Okay, it's Monticelli against Holman in our second match.
True Value Hardware Store's best interior paint just got even better. That's because now all 3 True Test Easy Care finishes, flat semi-gloss and flat enamel, are spatter resistant. So now you can give your rooms a rich, lasting coat without making a big mess. And after all, you're supposed to be painting your walls, not yourself. You'll find spatter-resistant True Test Easy Care paint at participating True Value Hardware stores.
True Value.
When that pork chop suey hits you like a freight train and you're churning out of control, signal the bubbles of extra-strength Alka-Seltzer, because speed is what you need to get your stomach and head back on track again fast.
Alka-Seltzer to the rescue.
Need a new muffler for your older car?
Midas size. They've got mufflers for older cars you don't plan on keeping forever.
Yeah. Midas-size your older car and get it right the first time.
Just 1 week away from the start of the Winter Olympics. A look at the athletes and the games in a live 2-hour special. Calgary 88, the Olympic adventure begins. Then on ABC's college basketball is a battle for first place in the Big Ten. The Purdue Boilermakers take on the Michigan Wolverines. All tomorrow on ABC Sports.
Very pretty, charming lady from Venezuela. Emleta Monticelli's sister, Andriana. Glad she's here. And she, along with you, is watching superb champion named Marshall Holman, who has strung 5 in a row and takes a 25-pin lead. He gets with it.
In the groove. Marshall Holman, as we've seen in many, many times in a championship round, allows his own emotions to defeat him. I mean, it's not happening today. He's settled down, very businesslike. As you said, Chris, a good pre-shot program, taking his time, has 5 strikes in a row, has the ever-dangerous Monticelli down by 25 pins through 7 frames, can extend his lead to 35 pins with a strike here in the 8th.
Oh, there's a new one. Real propeller job, 360 2 or 3 times in a pole.
And the pins did the same thing. He just emulated the head pin. See you later, rips out the 4, 5, and 7. I've never seen Holman's arm swing so consistent. He's driving straight through with his arm swing every single time. Very confident, has the pressure on Monticelli. Monticelli a possible 245 game. Holman going at a 250 pace.
Didn't get that wobbly 7 to go. Tough break for Monticelli. 8th frame.
Monticelli with that powerful bowling ball. His ball comes in, hits the 1-3. Watch the action of the 5-pin. It'll normally come over and take out the 7, but not to be. He gets so much action with the head pin off the sideboard, it stops the 5-pin from driving into the 7 and reduces Monticelli's chance of winning this match against Holman.
Okay. 2 professionals, a young and a veteran one, that, like in figure skating, use all the ice to do your routines. And these are 2 bowlers that use the entire bowling lane, don't they? both with their heels back over the approaches.
They surely do. They maximize their power, and one thing, if you look back at this match, Chris, as you've always said, you can't make up for a mistake in bowling. Monticelli made a mistake in the second frame, and Holman's been all over him since then.
Like the 4-pin. Takes the wind out of your sails, no question about it when you're a competitor.
Well, it depends on who you're bowling against. When you see a Holman, you can't afford to watch him, and here's the view that Chris Schenkel and Nelson Burton Jr. get every week.
Coffee tasted great in this chilly weather.
The 2-pin, Monticelli makes it this time.
We're in our second game. If you just joined us, the man getting up to bowl, Marshall Holman, had a 242 in his first match against a non-winner, Todd Thompson, who shot a 228. And now he has strung 6 shooting in the ninth. Strung 7.
Notice how the pin carry has been so dependable on the solid hit. I can't remember, as we closing out the second match here, where a potential strike in the solid area, 1-3 zone, has left anything standing, and that's really a credit to the program they have at Galaxy Lanes of getting the lanes as flat as you possibly can. One of the reasons you leave a lot of solid 10s is the ball becomes slightly airborne as it leaves the lane and goes into the pin deck area. Now Holman, with a potential 280, has the match in hand.
Finding that line on the left lane, and Marshall Holman is the winner, moving a step toward the 23,000. He'll meet Joe Firpo after the tip. Here it is. Today's Old Spice Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice Fast Track Wide Deodorant. It blocks odor better.
The 7 and 10 pins, a near impossible split. But there's 2 ways to look at this combination. Number 1, if it's late in a match, you may want to go for 1 pin, the 10 or the 7, whichever is easier for you. But if it's early in the match, a different strategy comes into play. Try what the pros do. They try to adjust their strike spot, give up the 1 pin, and hopefully they'll be in the pocket for the remainder of the game. Watch this.
Now let Bo help you score even more. You'll also fix problems, improve strategy, and practice smarter with Bo Burton's new bowling video.
This video is for you.
ABC Sports and Old Spice bring you Bo Burton's new instructional video, Score More. Just $24.98 plus $3 shipping. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR. That's 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
It's more effective than the leading men's deodorant. It's been proven better in clinical tests at blocking odor. It's Old Spice Fast Track Wide Deodorant. It blocks odor better.
Either like him or you don't like him, and I'm speaking of Marshall Holman. I happen to like him. He is a great champion. ABC's up close and personal technique has been most revealing. Listen to what Marshall's friends say about him, and take a particular look at a darn good golf swing.
Marshall hits the ball long.
He's a 5 handicap.
A lot of hand-to-eye coordination.
He never stops talking. Never stops talking. Trouble on the golf course. Yeah, I've got to go under and try and hook it around. No, I want the pleasure to be able to make this long putt here.
You want to hear a clunk in the hole.
All right. I have had a dream where I won a golf tournament, a PGA golf tournament. I was the first professional bowler ever to win a bowling tournament and a golf tournament. And believe me, that's a major league dream.
Marshall's a great guy to be around. A lot of fun.
He's a very kind, considerate person, or whatever, and very giving. And he's very nice to the people around here in the valley. I've lived in Southern Oregon since 1959, since I was 4 years old. It's not an area where I have people putting a lot of demands on me. I mean, I can come home and I can see my parents, and I can see my friends, and I can play golf, and I can relax.
Okay, here we go. It's going to be a high pop fly, and oh, it's a great play. My girlfriend Terry and I sponsor a youngster in the Philippines. It's not a large sum of money, and it goes to a very good cause. It helps him, you know, with his education. It helps with his family and medical expenses. He's very poor, living in an underdeveloped area of the world, and it's something that I can do and feel good about myself doing.
One of the things that truly knocks me out about Marshall is that he is not afraid to show love, not afraid to show his feelings, and I like that.
Well, I like Marshall's integrity. I think this kid really lives and dies on the truth.
I don't think there's anything special about Marshall Holman. You know, just a regular kind of human being.
Oh, my son, the bowler, is terrific.
Okay, Marshall's swing is okay. His stroke on the bowling lane's superb. 280 in his last game with 10 strikes over Monticelli's 223. As you see, Holman averaging 261 as he goes in against Joseph Firpo of Lake Worth, Florida, 23-year-old.
And the tournament field average game 207.24. This is the first week that the left-handers out-average the right-handers. The lefties average 208, the righties 207. As you look at some of the top 24 finishers, the high lefties so far this year. Hugh Miller finished 6th. Del Ballard, U.S. Open champion. Jasnow up there. Carlson once again. Hook and Bob Hanley. Rod Pasteur, tough little character there. Bob Benoit, the $100,000 man. Anderson, Jurek, Lightfoot, as you see some of the other fellows in there. Don Sylvia, always close. Nice guy there. Big guy, Chuck McGavro. George Branham III. Corey Groth, Tony Westlake make up the top 24. 53rd spot went to Scott Devers, $980.
Okay. Here goes Joe Firpo, 23 years old, against 33-year-old Marshall Holman. Marshall with 2 victories. Coming into the semifinal match, the winner will meet Ron Bell, the tournament leader. Marshall averaging 261, 2 games. That's stroking, Nelson.
A lot of, as his hands show a little perspiration, he takes that rosin. Now watch what he does with it. He puts it in the holes. They'll remain in the holes, but he wipes off the residue on his towel, which he wraps on his shoes. So if he sticks, it's his own fault. But he's ready to go. All set. Holman, as you said, averaging 261 and 262 average will put him close to the 4-game record.
4-pin and the 4-game record held by one Nelson Burton Jr.
Many years back, 1050 for 4 games, as you see Holman drifting just a pinch high in the first frame, 2-pin the sideboard, twist between the 4 and 7. Not to be. 4-pin must go. As we've said before, 9 degrees off axis, it must fall by American Bowling Congress regulations. Apparently, it didn't get that far off axis.
So Marshall does continue to mark. First frame spare. Okay, Joe Firpo, born December 21st, 1964. And the non-winner that started against Holman was born the very same day and year, Todd Thompson. So let's see what this young bowler can do against Holman. He's on the right lane. Did very well.
What a wonderful stroke. Palmer Falgren, who lives in the Florida area, saw this young man a few years back, and he showed me him as we watched his stroke, that long pivot step, and look at the follow-through directly towards the target. And I had the luxury of bowling a exhibition match against him while he was still a junior bowler. Glad I got him back then, because he's way too tough right now.
And the bucket on the left lane for Joseph Firpo.
Left-hand lane, as we said earlier, being a pinch tighter. As we say that, 1 board or so. Joe Forper will look down to the approach, standing on approximately the 20th board, the center board of the lane, center dot being lined up with the center arrow. We'll make that adjustment.
Okay, today it's professional bowling and Wide World. And Nelson, tomorrow it's a big day at 2 Eastern from Calgary, Alberta, a live 2-hour special. Calgary 88, the Olympic adventure continues, to be followed by basketball.
And your old alma mater, Purdue, I think they're going to have their hands full against Michigan, Chris. And in the Olympics, I'll be watching for you on the 70-meter jump next Sunday, a week from Sunday.
A week from today. And another man will be watching is Marshall Holman, who loves sports of all kinds. And when he can't be there in front of the set live, little VCR action, this guy.
Marshall, who is going from here up to the Lakeview School area in Citrus County, Florida, near Steve Neff's Bowling Center area for a little exhibition for learning impaired kids. Marshall spending his time generously with all the people. And a lot of money to spend also, the way he's been knocking them dead for the last 15 years on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Right now, he can take the lead with a strike in the third.
On the tour, $1,223,000. And again, they topple, giving him a double and putting the pressure on the non-winner, Joe Firpo, leading by 10.
Saws the 5, splits the 6. Watch this. 1, 3. See that later 5-pin. See that 6 just snap out the 10-pin. And say, how are things going today, Marshall?
And young Joe Firpo is back striking, giving him 40 through the second, strike up in the third as he moves over to the left lane now. We're at Galaxy Lanes in Venice, Florida.
I want to see a lot of practice, a lot of natural ability. Watch the smoothness. His arm swing goes straight through towards the target. You saw that little double wrist action that all these top pros employ today to get that high roll and tremendous power on the bowling ball. And right now is a key frame for Joe Firpo. We can't let Holman get too far ahead of him.
Yeah. Three-bagger for Joe Firpo from the other side of the state of Florida, Lake Worth. It's all even. We'll be back.
Old soldiers never die, but neglected batteries do. That's why I feel better with a Delco battery under the hood. Seal tight, maintenance free, with plenty of startup power to handle cold mountain weekends.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
We old soldiers spend our time on live trout, not dead batteries. For the AC Delco retailer nearest you, just give me a call at 1-800-AC-DELCO.
Well, you're the kind of man that likes to do things your own way. And you can bet it's right when you get through. Ooh-hoo. And there's a beer that always fits right in your hand. 'Cause you're a bud man, and this bud's for you. Oh, you do. This bud's for you.
Benny Pacienza defends his IBF lightweight crown against former champ Greg Haugen live, plus Women's World Cup skiing on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
Live shot of Marshall Holman, who has won 2 matches. We're now in the semifinal of the Bowlers Journal Florida Open. Holman averaging 261 in the 2 victories. Opened with a spare, has a double up, shooting in the 4th frame against non-winner Joe Firpo. Three-bagger. Little added pressure.
Holman just stroking along beautifully, never really having any bad shots. Remember the one shot he had out of the pocket, the 4, 6, 7, 10 in the first match against Thompson, but it really had no effect on the outcome of the match. And right now he has a 10-pin lead to extend to 20 with a strike here in the 5th.
Ten-pin on the left lane for Marshall Holman.
Left lane, Chris, as I looked up there and being kind of pickish about it, there was really a tight rack. It's something the players always look for. Holman didn't look for it. The 1 and 3 pins were pretty tight there, and it didn't allow the ball to get deep enough in the pocket to pop that 10 out. Right now, with this conversion, he would lead by 9.
Okay. Earlier today, Pete McCordick on the left was awarded a plaque as Bowler's Journal Person of the Year for 1987 by Bowler's Journal publisher Mort Luby Jr. on the right. He's the man that came up with the first of 2 300 perfect games a little over a year ago, and the last being Bob Benoit. $100,000.
Firpo to take the lead.
So it's a new position for Marshall Holman. We asked Firpo why his right hand is taped.
Well, what it was a couple of years ago, I was originally going to come out on tour about 3 years ago, and I hurt my hand bowling in one of the rabbits in the tournament. And it was just I guess a pinched nerve or some sort of torn ligaments. So what I did, I started just changing where I was holding the ball for a while. And I was moderately successful with it. And then I decided I wasn't doing well enough, so I switched to this and put in this pad here so I can roll the ball over on that part of my hand. Gives me a little more back end, a little more hook on the back end where I need it to carry.
Joe Firpo, who left the 610 on the left lane while he was describing and explaining the tape.
And he said it gave him a little more hook. He didn't need it on that particular shot. And just backtracking slightly, the Rabbit squad that he refers to is the Pro Tour qualifier that non-exempt players must bowl every Monday to get in the tournament.
So clean games for both bowlers now, continuing to mark, and Marshall Holman with a 1-pin lead at this point. Spare working, shooting in the 6th. The winner to meet Ron Bell, tournament leader. High hit, 3-6-10.
Holman once again reaches down on the approach to pick something up, and it must come out of either his bowling ball or off his hand. I'll watch more closely. He had it happen in the second game that he bowled over on the left-hand lane. It doesn't seem to have any effect on his stroke, but he seems a little bit discouraged as he right now allows Firpo the luxury of leading in the match by just 2 pins after 6 frames.
3-6-10, right lane. We told you earlier the number of seconds, 3rds and 4ths last year, and never a victory. And it seemed often, Bo, that when he got upset with himself, that led to his downfall.
That's very true, Chris. 8 championship rounds without a victory, and he said he liked Galaxy Lanes, as we remember in 1983 and 84, and 15 championship rounds appearances. He only had 1 victory. That wasn't even a tournament victory. He just won 1 match. He finally rectified that with back-to-back victories here in 1984 and the U.S. Open in 85. So let's see if he doesn't defeat himself.
Okay, got a break there. 7th frame strike. Very important one for Marshall Holman, with Firpo now coming up. Spare working, shooting in the 7th.
Right now, Firpo taking a re-rack as Joe Firpo can take the 2-pin lead if he can strike here in the 7th. As you look at the pin setters, in every automatic pin setter, we have at least 21 pins, 10 that are being rolled against, 10 that are being prepared, and usually an extra one in case a power player drives one of those pins out of the set.
And we keep watching Marshall Holman. He continues to talk to himself, perturbed with himself. He's always striving for perfection.
Right now, a slight delay. Holman going over to get a glass of water. Joe Firpo prepared to bowl. 7th frame has a 2-pin lead, a spare working in the 6th. Should be over any kind of championship round jitters that may have occurred, using a ball with grippers in it, using the fingertip grip urethane bowling ball, as all the players are today. Eyes that target between the 2nd and 3rd arrows. He's ready to go.
And the sound effects from the crowd really tell you the story.
Just
ugly 410.
Well, we can see the lane condition changing. Marshall Holman drifts high on the right-hand lanes. As you see what Firpo has to do, he has to get the ball over by the 4-pin and slide it over into the 10-pin If he converts this, the match would be all even through 7. If he doesn't, he will be in arrears.
There's the costly open frame. Coming in the 7th for the non-winner, Joe Firpo. 145 through 7.
Firpo must gather his thoughts right now. Not slow up. Championship rounds are usually lost by players becoming too tentative. They tighten the muscles in the right arm or the left arm if you happen to have a lefty in a championship round, which we haven't had so far this year in 6 weeks. And you throw the ball too slowly. Let's see what Firpo does.
Just going by the pocket, leaving the 2-4-5-8 on the left lane.
Rhythm. A little bit too quick on the left. Trying to justify the soft shot on the right-hand lane in the 7th frame. Once again, a very tough spare for Joe Firpo. The 2, 4, 5, and 8 pins. I don't know. Harry Golden is discussing something on the side with Holman. Has nothing to do with Firpo. Uh-oh.
Nothing on the ball except speed and just missing. So it's back-to-back open frames.
Firpo sliding by, almost gets a break where the 2-pin comes back, slices the 4 into the 8, but not to be. He has opened the door for Marshall Holman. Firpo opens the 7th and 8th. Holman, who is trailing by 2, takes a 23-pin lead as he comes up in the 8th frame. Strike working, can extend that lead to a commanding 33 with another strike in the 8th.
Real clincher shot by Marshall Holman. Our tournament leader continues to warm up off to the right.
The experienced Holman, a little extra speed. He jams the potential winning shot solid in the pocket. No messing around here. He has Firpo on the ropes. He can put the knockout punch on him right here with a strike in the 9th.
Look at him prepare. The winner here on these lanes twice before, exuding confidence now with that 9th frame strike.
Joe Firpo, 9th frame, potential 2-13. It's just a exhibition match now, as Firpo will have bowled well but not be enough to defeat Holman.
Okay, for the man that won a PBA doubles championship last year, we get that smile on the face. Joe Firpo.
Good high, strong roll of Firpo. Flips that 6-pin into the 10. That's something the pro bowlers do so well, even though there's a highly oiled surface out there, or conditioned surface 45 feet from the foul line down before you can get any natural bite on the lane. They still overpower the pins.
Plotting his own strike, the man that teamed with Del Warren to beat Rick Jones and Rick Minear 218 to 168, and then Brian Voss and Les Sykes for the title.
Started bowling at age 8, bowled 3 years on his high school team, works out with his doubles partner Del Warren, some other good players in that Lake Worth area, Dennis Seropoulos, Jimmy Keith, Ron Dixon, all quality players, each doing very well on the pro tour.
And Joe Firpo, who has a lot of rooters in Lake Worth, Nelson, including a real close friend of mine, Herb Glass. They like Del and they like Joe, and great to get hometown fans rooting for their guys.
So true, Chris, as Firpo throws his final ball in the 75th anniversary year of the Bowlers Journal Tournament. Co-sponsor here, that great magazine founded by Dave Luby in 1913.
10-pin, left lane, a 212, 7 strikes for Joe Firpo as he was trying for his 2nd PBA title, a doubles victory prior to his try today. Now, Holman. A 10-pin on the right lane and a big smile from the usually placid Marshall Holman. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message and a word from our local stations.
Just like a breath of fresh air early in the morning.
There's something about the taste of Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
I mean, usually I start sneaking some out of the box before I even get it into the bowl.
The tradition.
I've been eating them since I was a little girl. My son eats them.
The value.
You can buy all the imitations and not get Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
That make it part of a breakfast people feel special about.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes is tops.
Corn Flakes from Kellogg's. What more could you want from a cereal?
Scott once had a heart attack. Today, he had a son. Studies show aspirin helps reduce the risk of heart attacks. Ask your doctor about a regimen of exercise, the right foods, and Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
I'm stuffed. I can't concentrate.
Before and Afrin. Afrin clears your nose and your head. What Afrin does in 5 minutes takes Sudafed over an hour. It's the #1 recommended nasal spray.
The Iowa caucus. You may know it's Monday, but you may not know what it is. Peter Jennings and who better than David Brinkley explain it. Monday on ABC's World News Tonight.
Oh, hi there. Say, you know, I've really gotten into bowling, as you can see. It's lots of fun, and you don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. The nice folks at Windward, Leeward, and Cleahey Bowl have everything you need. It's great exercise and so inexpensive that you can treat the gang to a sandwich at the snack bar. You're gonna love bowling, so why don't you drop in?
Tailoring long-distance service to fit the needs of business in Hawaii isn't that easy. You need a full range of specialized long-distance services, like toll-free 800, as well as volume pricing plans. You need the latest state-of-the-art equipment and the expertise to use it right. But more than anything else, you need people who understand and appreciate the local business climate to make it all fit just right. Long Distance USA, Hawaii's business connection.
We're for Hawaii.
Marshall Holman has won his third match, 7 strikes, a 235 with a spur and a strike in the 10th frame. Joe Firpo's 212, and that means now he goes against rough, tough Ron Bell from Akron, Ohio, 33 years old, hungry for his first win. He will be tough. Here's a breakdown on the lanes today.
The championship pair, lane 31, 22 strikes. Lane 32, the one that hooks a little bit more, 27 strikes, and that's due to just a little more breaking power. As you see Ron Bell taking his second last of his warm-up shots. He's the tournament leader, gets practice on the lanes before the championship match. Marshall Holman, who has already bowled 3 games, gets no more practice. Chris says we have a great fight coming up next, and trust me, Haugen is going to do it.
Haugen, who had the title before Pazienzo took it away from him. It'll be a brawl. It will not necessarily be the most beautiful technical boxing match, but it will be a battle. That's live. Plus World Cup skiing, the women excelling in Yugoslavia. Sort of a prelude to the Olympic Games, which start a week from today, and then they'll be naming the athlete of the week. And Bo, next week you and Dick Weber are going to handle the telecast, as I'll be trying to stay warm in Calgary, getting ready for the 70-meter jump on Sunday.
And we'll be obviously working hard on Saturday, keeping you all tuned in to what's happening here in sunny Miami, Florida.
Right.
And be watching your telecast the 70 meters as we see our tournament leader, Ron Bell, the man I picked to win the tournament, up for his first shot against the very tough Marshall Holman.
Leaves the 10-pin, the big 230-pound professional from the cradle of the PBA, Akron, Ohio, and home of the Firestone. And Ron would like to get his first win, which would make him eligible for that great event, our last stop of the year always. All right, a spare for Bell, the tournament leader. You started out here earlier in the week, Bo, what, averaging a little over 250 for 6 games?
Had the highest, as you're correct, Chris, the highest 6-game block so far in the 1988 PBA Tour. Shot 15, 14 for 6. That cranks out to be 252 plus. He may need all of that to defeat a red-hot Holman.
As this man with a strike has had games of 242, 280, and 235 all today here in Venice, Florida.
His favorite championship here, Marshall Holman winning 2 tournaments on this 31 and 32 Galaxy Lanes. Only one of 4 Galaxy bowling centers in the west coast of Florida, Sarasota, Fort Myers area. Now Holman, the 4 handicap golfer, going against a guy who's a little bit better in golf than he is, Ron Bell. Just about a scratch player.
Holman with 20 championships, including 2 U.S. Opens, Firestone, amazing.
10 in a pit. Holman off to a quick lead, and that's what you need to do against the tournament leader. Nailing-wise, still a little bit apprehensive, but not Ron Bell. He's thinking win all the way. He says, Bo, I've already got my Firestone tickets for my family.
But I think you'll need a Mark Roth here, leaving the 7-10.
Mark Roth, as Chris alluded to, is the only player ever to convert the 7-10 split in the championship round on ABC, doing that in 1983 as he bounced the 10-pin into the 7th against Bill Stroud.
All right, after opening, marking with a spare, it's an open frame for Bell, and because of Holman's double, he's trailing by 23.
I had a chance to bowl against Ron Bell in the 1978 U.S. Open, Chris, in Greensboro, North Carolina. Ron was an amateur, qualified for the U.S. Open there, finished 5th in that tournament, then turned pro shortly thereafter.
Leaving the 6-10 on the left lane. See, after that long wait and intermittent practice, you get over to the championship pair, and it's just a different ball game, isn't it?
A little bit different. You're correct. The lanes have changed slightly. Bell has to make the adjustment here after the 3rd frame. Keep some pressure on Holman. Needs to convert this spare. He would still trail by 23.
Holman just does not deviate from his preparation routine, but knows how quickly he goes to the line.
Good point, Chris. You don't tighten up. He knows what he wants to do, sets those eyes, swings through the ball. Boom. 3 in a row. Chris, those approaches are only 17 feet long, but Marshall took about a 35-foot return when he came back. Watch him. He sticks a little bit, reacts to the strike. Now with the sashaying return back to the ball return, he walks left, he walks right. He looked like a snake coming back. Very confident way of walking. I guess if you can bowl as well as Marshall, you can walk around on the approaches any way you darn well please. You can put the big hurt on Bell here with a 4th strike.
Would you believe it? A cross lane knockout.
What a break. Holy cow, watch the action of the head pin. Here's Holman's ball, 4th frame. He drives the head pin to the sideboard. There's a 10 pin, but don't forget about that head pin. Here it comes. Can it get there? Can it get there? 4 strikes in a row. Holman has a 43-pin lead.
It's like we've always said, a lot of preparation with a little luck, and you can go far. And we'll be back to continue this championship match after this.
So what's little dandruff?
Okay, imagine you're at the social event of the year, and your dream girl says hello, just as you do this. Her first impression? What a hunk. And only a few flakes.
Give me a break.
The breaks are, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So?
So regular shampoos won't fix your problem. Try this.
Head and Shoulders? But you don't have dandruff.
Bingo.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Harry, if you don't want to end up in court, you better send a child support.
I'm calling about your son, Grover. You better send money. His ski trip's over.
Send the money now, you dig? Or we won't make our next gig.
To send someone money fast, come to Western Union. We'll make sure it gets to any of our 10,000 locations, usually in 15 minutes or less.
Cruising.
Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Before the Winter Olympics begin, there's time to spare for the $150,000 Miami Classic. It's a special early edition of ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour next Saturday.
Back again in Venice, Florida, and each week we have a 90-minute time period, and sometimes with spares and slow bowling, we run behind our schedule. So Ron Bell bowled while we were away, had a strike in the fourth on the right lane, left a 6-pin, made his spare. Now Holman, 4 in a row. He has 5.
Two thoughts have to be going through Holman's mind right now. The title, I just about have it. 53 pins is a commanding lead, especially when your opponent is floundering, not even close to the pocket as Bell is. Secondly, a player as great as Holman's got to say, hey, you know, $100,000 wouldn't be a bad paycheck to go along with some of that Bowler's Journal money. First prize.
$23,000 here today. Halfway point, as he did earlier, toward the true value $100,000 perfect 300 game bonus, and Ron Bell is pulling a Fuzzy Zeller on Greg Norman, the U.S. Open here on ABC a couple of years ago.
Bell right now can't give up in the match. He has a potential 237. It's not over until it's over, as they always say, and he still has a chance.
Would you believe that's the second time that has happened to Ron Bell, a 7-10.
Well, Bell will go for it, obviously. Hard as he can, try to bounce the 10-pin over the ball and back into the play of, ooh, almost.
A likable 33-year-old from Akron, Ohio, Ron Bell, in against a Tiger here in the championship match. And at this point, he's saying, finally, only second through 7 frames. More after this.
When it comes time to sell your home, consider this. Only one real estate sales organization sells more homes, finds more homes, and delivers more successful transactions every day than anyone else in the world. No one's got the power to move real estate like Century 21.
Introducing new Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime Cold Medicine.
It helps me go to sleep, which is difficult when you can't breathe.
Helped clear my nose right up. It really did. New Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime Cold Medicine. A new nighttime formula without alcohol helps put your cold to sleep fast.
It helped clear my sinuses through here where the pressure builds up so I could breathe and sleep better. A clear head and a good night's sleep.
New Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime Cold Medicine helps put your cold to sleep fast.
The graphic Marshall Holman leads by 76. 6-bagger, 7th frame shot, championship match, Venice, Florida. Another kiss at the end. 7 in a row, 5 to go.
The action of Marshall Holman's ball just sawing the 5 out, driving it straight into the 7. Those 3-pound, 8-ounce pins just dancing to the tune of that power. 298 game last night as he fought his way over Wayne Webb into the championship round. Now he's maximizing that opportunity with victory in hand and a potential $100,000 bonus.
4 to go. Marshall Holman, big games today, all of them. This is his 4th.
Week after week, Chris, we've mentioned that true value bonus. The players are threatening it time and time again, as each week a player has had at least 6 strikes in a row for the last 4 weeks. Ron Bell just trying to get out of Marshall's way right now.
So Ron has doubled, but it looks like he may have to settle for $12,000 today.
Bell with a strike here could avoid being defeated by the largest margin of victory in a championship match. If Holman would happen to strike out, the record is held by Mike Durbin over Larry Lobb. 279 to 153.
Ron Bell, who at the very rich Seagram's Coolers U.S. Open in Tacoma, he beat Marshall Holman 230 to 203. And there we're looking at Claudia, Ron's wife.
A bit distraught. Who would have believed it? Marshall Holman, 4 strikes away from $100,000, 3 strikes away from breaking the 4-game record on championship round appearance time.
6-10. 8 in a row. The fellow that shot a 242 against Todd Thompson, a 280 against Monticelli's 223, 235 against Joe Purpo's 212. All this today. And seeking his 21st PBA championship.
Little levity by Marshall Holman telling the crowd that, you know, that 6'10" tap in the pocket sometimes will get you every time. Quite a high hit, though.
Next week it's Miami with Bo Burton and Dick Weber.
On a little bit earlier, on at 1 o'clock Eastern time.
A good reason. The opening ceremonies of the Winter Games from Calgary. Also going with us to Calgary, our producer Peter Lasser and production assistant Patrick McGinnis. And bowling will be off 2 weeks during the Olympic Games, but then we'll be back with Cleveland as Marshall Holman, win number 21. We'll be back with the final score. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Alka-Seltzer. For stomach upset with a headache, send the bubbles of Alka-Seltzer to the rescue. By AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. And by Head & Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Round of lights here?
Ask for Bud Light. The light beer with the first name and taste.
Let me know when you're ready for another round.
Because everything else is just a light.
Users of nasal sprays invariably encounter the same problem.
Warm voice.
Sprays that roll out of their nose or drip back into their throat. To avoid this, they'll do just about anything. But now there's new Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine doesn't roll out or drip back. It goes up and stays up, and that makes it better. So try new Sinex Ultrafine Mist. It goes up and stays up. From Vicks, of course.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
New Tegrin medicated shampoo with conditioners leaves my hair looking great, and it's tough on dandruff.
And how do you know what tough is?
New Tegrin medicated shampoo with conditioners proves tough can be beautiful.
Vinny Pacienza defends his IBF lightweight crown against former champ Greg Haugen live, plus Women's World Cup skiing on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
In bowling victories, Marshall Holman has become of age. Number 21.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. It's a big thrill. I'd like to thank the bowling proprietors of Florida, my good friend Rafi Carrion, Mort Luby, Joe to the right of me, everybody. The people here, my third victory in Venice. I don't know. I think I ought to move here or something. It's been great.
Why don't you just buy the lanes, Marshall?
I don't think we'll quite get that far.
Oh, quickly. Mort Luby, Jr., publisher of the Bowler's Journal. Joe Fremini, I got it right, with a wonderful plaque. He is president of the Bowlers Proprietors of Florida. Gentlemen, it was a great tournament. We're running out of time. Just say something quick to Marshall.
Marshall, congratulations.
Thank
Tremendous
you very much.
victory.
Thank you, Mort. Thank you.
Great victory, Marshall. On behalf of the Bowling Proprietors Association of Florida, I'd like to present you with this beautiful trophy.
You both did very well.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. It's been fantastic.
Marshall Holman winning by a score of 275 to 211. Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, it's the IBF World Lightweight Championship. Vinny Pazienza defends his title against the man he took it from, Greg Haugen. And tomorrow, ABC Sports presents a live 2-hour special, Calgary 88. The Olympic adventure begins. Then it's a crucial Big Ten matchup on ABC's college basketball when Purdue meets Michigan. That game to be played at Ann Arbor. Both teams with 7 wins, 1 loss, tied for the Big Ten lead. So it's another big day. And don't forget Wide World following a great boxing match, Women's World Cup skiing, and the naming of the Athlete of the Year. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports. Once again, the winner is Marshall Holman from Medford, Oregon, the man who has won over $1 million on the lanes, 275.
A promotional fee has been paid to ABC.